ACA, and hopefully everybody's gotten their ACAs. If you need to do an ACA, you've at least gotten it uploaded and are fixing your last set of correction errors. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about the financials and trying to expand on the financials a little bit so that we can have a quick discussion, about where the financials are heading and possibly making some more enhancements to it to make it easier for the road commissions to utilize it for their budgeting. So ACA has been a kind of a long-term thing. The government had a flip-flop on us in the middle of it. So a lot of things happened in a way that we had to respond to, and it wasn't necessarily a planning. But let's kind of just cover the ACA from top to bottom. At the very beginning of the ACA, you had to sign up for an ID.me, and that was that is a company that helps identify users log in to a real user. So everybody had to fill that out and did their photo and signed in correctly with an ID.me account. Once you had created an ID.me account, you would go to the IRS and sign in with that ID.me account and request the ability to submit the forms on behalf of the entity. So in other words, if, for Cog State, we had to sign up and say we wanted to be able to submit our ACA records for Cog State Incorporated. As well as if you did 1099s, you had to do the 1099s under the ID.me. But today we're just focusing on the ACA. So we had to say both if you had, depends on what forms you had, whether you had the 1090, you're doing 1095 and 1094's B's and 1095, 1094 C's. So it depends on which ones of those two you're doing, or both. You had to get permissions for those. Then what happened after that is you had to come into the ACA reporting, and you had to do a COM test, what was called an IRS COM test, where you had to generate a specific file that the IRS outlined and send that file to the IRS to get marked with a yes, I am doing the COM. I can send you a file, Mr. IRS, and then you get back a magical number for that file that you sent for the request ID. And then you had to phone call the IRS and tell them, yes, my name is such and such. I'm with such and such organization. I have submitted this COM test for you. And then they would get back to you in a couple of days and move you from a tester to a production. So then you would have a production level TCC number that you got back from doing the ACA. Then you could submit your first ACA to them. If it was clean, you would have it just accepted. If not, your upload file was correct and you did not have any errors, you were done. But if your upload file was accepted with errors, then you had to come through and utilize our ACA corrections, where you would select the file that you sent, you would select the data file that you downloaded, select the data file that you sent, and then select the error file that you had downloaded from the request. You would click on load files, you would see the error, you would make the correction, and then you would come back and you would generate the file to be set for the correction based on the errors that were in the list. Once you got through that, once that was set, the IRS would take that file, and if that was accepted, then you were finally done. But you do need to keep both the original file that you submitted and the corrected file you submitted, so that you have the complete process of all of the data that was sent to the IRS on behalf of the Township Road Commission, or whatever municipality you're working with. So that way, those can be looked at if you have any kind of IRS audit from year to year to year for verifications or anything like that. Then again, you'll have those files available. So that's kind of like the whole storyline of generating your ACA files from top to bottom. where they were, where they got way overloaded. They did not expect so many people, but I don't know what they seems like they should have, because if they looked at how many people were submitting paper last year that weren't allowed to submit paper anymore, they should have figured that they were going to get slammed. But they did, add a bunch of folks, but I don't think they added nearly enough for the phone calls to be helpful, because I did receive some places that said the person on the phone had no idea what they were talking about when they were trying to get their submitted file from a T to a P. And so they got frustrated. They had to hang up and call again and get somebody else that did know. So if that was your case, we need to, we want to make sure that next year, the good news is if you're going to be there next year, first of all, your ID.me is complete. So you have that. The IRS is claiming this year that you'll automatically, once you automatically have the T's, you're automatically still able to send in, will be the 2025 or whatever, the 2024 versions of the files. So those will be in the test area, so you won't have to request access to it, I believe. You'll just have to do, and possibly they're gonna bypass the COM test as well. So you won't even have to call the IRS. It'll just January 5th or whatever, you'll just be able to send your files direct. But my guess is they're going to request that COM test every year, just one time for folks. But we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But other than that, I think you guys, we think we got through it this year, as much as we didn't want to, I didn't really want to spend 3/4 of a year on, or well, at least half a year on getting these things programmed and ready to go. But it's here, we have it. We'll continue to support it from year after year. And then I think by the time we're done with all of it, it'll be, pretty simple. There's going to be a lot of simplifications made by the IRS. I get these sheets in my email every day. So I get hundreds and hundreds of little pieces that says, we're going to be changing that. So if all of it comes to fruit, what we'll have at the IRS is you'll sign in with ID.me, and you'll have a list of all of the places that you will have availability for the IRS. And when you click on one of those, it will then give you the list of whether you can do ACA, 1099, all of the pieces you are authorized for. So you won't have to keep logging in and logging for for your W-2s. The SSA will still be separate. They're not going to be adding into the IRS for that, because it's a different organization. So the umbrella and that is, kind of different, but you'll still have the same ID.me login, and you'll still go through the same process. I'm assuming everyone went through the W-2 upload fairly, straightforward, because we've had that for years now, and has not been something that's been that critically different over the years. It's been very similar, as well as the work that we're doing now. We're going to be adding a 1099 processing over this next year for the 1099. We already have 1099. We're going to be adding the 941 processing, so that can be electronic as well. But we just wanted to get through the ACA so that was, completely done and didn't have anything we had to do immediately, we could jump right on. Started doing anything with financials and budgeting. Can you just shout out in chat real quick if you have? If you got it started and then it's not going to work for you, please, mention that, because we're going to be making some changes to it so that it will hopefully have enough flexibility for everybody to use.
Hi, George. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Lisa, I can hear you just fine.
So I did play with it a little bit after the last webinar, and I can see where you took the information from the trial balances and stuff and tried to put them in a format to use. For me, I think I'm going to need more of the detail you had in the older financial report, because I want to manipulate it a little bit more toward different kinds of financial statements. So I stopped at that point, and my next step then was going to be Brian from Chippewa has used the other financial reporting, I guess, for years.
Yeah,
So
we're trying to get that to go away because of the amount of requirements it takes to maintain that.
well, those are more of what I think I'm going to need, but in all reality, I have to spend some time digging deeper. So I just wanted to give you the update of where I'm at, because
Yeah.
the financial reporting is definitely where I need to go next.
Okay, well, like I said, some of the issues that we had going forward, and I know some of what Brian was looking at, the old system did a lot, but it was very, very, very manual labor to maintain. And we're trying to put together something that's a little more, how do I explain it? Available for everybody with the minimal amount of effort to set up, create, and maintain for people to be able to run the type of financials that they quote should be running but don't, because they either don't have the budget stuff set up in the old system, and the again, it's a Herculean effort to get that stuff created for a new location, but then of course once it's done, and using it year and year isn't so hard, but every once in a while there's something brand new that comes in and nobody realizes that they have to update the budget. We're trying to build something that's a little bit more, on-screen automated, WYSIWYG, friendly to Excel, kind of a system, so that it isn't just all on top of Cogitate. Because a lot of people want to grab that and move it to Excel anyways from the budget in order to be able to, look at different things, throw up a pivot table, do different stuff with the data. And we want to be able to provide that in a way that is not as painful as doing the budget. So with that being said, we want to look at real quick a couple of things that we've been looking at doing for feature here. But one of the problems that some people had, like for instance, when they get to their TWAs or their 459. So we're going to be adding the ability to the financials to be able to sum up at any given level. So we haven't, we're not there yet, but what this would be is like if you look at the chart of accounts, you'll have normally under the 496, 497, then the next level is usually the township level, and most places have told me they wanted that to be budgeted at that level. They don't want to budget at the 497 level because it's too big. They want to budget at the different townships for each of the show a budget for each of the different townships. So, we want to be able to supply that at least to the 5th level, and then possibly the 6th level for some of the other places, some of the other budgeting that you might want to have at the 6th level for equipment and things like that if you really wanted to go that detailed with it. But that's kind of like we want to leave that up to you guys to decide. So we're going to provide it so that you can budget technically at any level you so desire. But we'll keep in mind that any roll up will not be, we'll try to make sure that there isn't a roll up that includes also a breakdown, if you follow that. So you get the idea. We want to make sure that at least, a budget dollar amount is only counted once in a budget, not multiple times. So we're going to be adding that. And then the other thing we're looking at making is if you want to, while you're in the budget, if you highlight, something like here, then you'll be able to right click on it and say, I want to increase this budget by, whatever I have highlighted by 2%, or -2% or 4% or whatever it is, you can, right click and basically adjust, and it will do a galactic math on whatever you have selected. So it'll be kind of like a right click. It could be down here because we do this for the apply trends for these account numbers. So we might have something here, so it'd be part of the apply. So we just have a line in here that you could type in whether you want the budget to increase or decrease by a certain percentage. You can hit apply and it will apply, do it all kind of a thing. So we're going to be trying to add that because we've had, requested for that over the last little bit. And if there's anything else that you guys see in here that you'd want us to do, hey, shout out because we want this tool to kind of replace what's in the main level of what the budget calc was supposed to do. And then as other people have more budget calcs, we want to look at how can we replace those pieces with something that's a little bit more put together so that everybody can take advantage of it and they don't have to sit down to generate a huge series of technical things that, it's just a very technical position to have to go into and how you have to understand all of the formulas and things like that in the other one where this is, a little less of requiring all that, as well as then we can maintain this for everybody and not just, we have to go one by one for individual people. So I think, like I said, we really, really want everybody to start using this financial tool rather than the budget calc. And I know it's hard to change and I understand all of that. But at a certain point, we do have to stop supporting that old budget calc. It's not coming soon, we do need to do it. It's going to be a bit before we can't continue to keep it as the years go on. So it'll probably be in 2 years, we'll be pushing for hard to, whatever is still left out there that people are using it for, that we have a replacement between this and the export to Excel utility that we've created. Between those two, we're kind of hoping we can put together what's needed to as a replacement for the budget calc. So it'll still be around for a little while, but like I said, anything that you can help us to get so that everybody gets a chance to take advantage of, the stuff that we've put together, and it's not so hard to create and maintain. That's going to be better. So if there's anything, like I said, if this budget has something massively missing, please let us know and we will try to make anything we can. Because like I said, we really want the tool to be adopted and used. All right, so that's a quick overview of the budget piece. Any questions? Because we got one last little piece that I wanted to hold off on to talk about. Okay. Well, if you didn't know about the budget, start playing with it. If you did know about it, let's keep rolling with it. We're going to be starting a another process for, like we did to get those financials to work for everybody. And what we're going to be doing next under payroll is employee maintenance, the employees. We want to be splitting this up. There's just too much under here. I know you've all gotten comfortable with it, but we want to move this over to the new piece. And so we would like to know, we'd like to get with some payroll experts on a webinar call separate to talk about how we can split this up in something that will make it, not, necessarily as easy as this, but, as simple as possible so that the new one will have, a variety of things that it does, as well as some of this there's some things that should be HR in here under employee. Some of this stuff should be an HR part and some of it should be payroll. And where do you want the lines drawn between the two for being able to maintain employees and the HR side? So what I would like to ask is anyone who's interested, send me an email at president@cogitatinc.com and say you'd like to be part of the discussion. I would like to get a team of about 6 to 7 people that are interested in it so that we can decide how this utility here gets broken into some of the to the newer style of this, so you can jump into the employee maintenance. It doesn't so if you're in import you need to go to employee maintenance, you can, because you can move between the new things but once it's in like this older style, you can only do one of the older styles at a time. So again, the next piece we're looking at is, working through the employees and getting this thing split up so that, the maintenance of employees can be handled in a completely different, look. And there's just too much information down here, like I said, to get to places, and then you got to keep going over for the FMLA. So there's just a lot of things in here that make it very difficult for uh moving through. Like, we'd like to make a lot of things to be really simple. So, but we need to split this up into probably 2 or 3 different, modified places to take care of, because when you want to do banks, you really should be looking at something that manages this in a much easier way than having to go through each one to add a bank to everybody if you have to do something like that. Yeah, historical, part of that should be for the, yeah, part of that should be, as it will be kind of in here. Part of the split up will be able to show historical data. So if you want to, go backwards and look, we also want to put in the ability to have the rate history. I know I've been asked for that a lot. So they want to see, like, whenever the person gets a new pay rate. So if you come in here and come back to employment info, every time that rate is get bumped or changed, they want more than just the date of the last raise. They want a reasoning. They want different things to go on, and so that can also be brought up. So it's just to modify this whole mechanism, because we've just, over the years, this has grown to be a big, just a lot of things in here that probably need to be, handled in a much better way than, kind of the, what I calling the one at a time, where you got to go through everybody and set stuff for everybody, and there's no way to, make it easier for those things to do. So I'm trying to, say we really want to make this, moved into the newer system, but I need help to kind of see how we want things broken up. And I want to talk to you guys to, I want to talk to the experts that use this day in, day out, to see what it is they would like it to be, so that their days would be easier and it'd be simpler. So again, I'm just doing a call out to get information and emails sent, so I can put together the team, and we can we'll try to pick a day that, it'll be a webinar. It'll be everybody will be able to talk on the webinar, kind of a meeting. So kind of like a big group Zoom meeting that you've been part of. And we'll try to pick a day that we can do it on, that we recur, probably usually what the financials has been every other week. We would meet, and I would show where the current progress was of the changes. And then they would be able to say, yeah, this isn't right, and things like that. So it's just a matter of, it's going to take a little bit of your time to work through, to help us out with that. But we're looking for, like I said, at least 7 people to be able to get on the phone every other week. For usually it's an hour long, but whatever time frame we can put together from the group of the 7. That's, I'm free every day, all the days. So we just want to make sure that we want to listen to you guys to make sure that our system is what you guys really want. Last thing we want to do is force changes down that you don't really want. But we need to get this thing broken out and into the new. And then likewise, while we're doing that, I've got another team that I'm going to be working with, and I want everybody to get used to this. Is, see, only one of these can be open at a time, so I got to close this. Inventory maintenance. I'd like to get with 5 or 6 inventory places to move this into something that is going to be a little bit easier for the inventory maintenance to do. And we're trying to get this done. Again, I want 5, 6 different people to email me on the inventory side to help us put together that split up of this thing, and how they would like to see, inventory maintained. for them to be able to make decisions quicker, easier, and be able to get through the different styles of everything that needs to happen with all the different types of inventory between raw materials, parts, things like that. All right, so anyways, that's my shout out. Please, if you can, we want to get certain things like this, put together so that we can get these like the request we came through chat. Being able to do things like that. I really, really want everything to, have the ability to be the kind of system you guys want. We're here for you, so like I said, we want to make sure that we all have that. Well, I want to open that communication up on the next phase of the development we're doing on both the payroll side, where we're dealing with the employees and maintenance, and on the inventory side, it was the same thing where we're dealing with the maintenance on the inventory. So I'd like both of those to kind of get put together, specified correctly, outlined, and what it is, how we want to proceed. So again, if you send me a message or an email on it, please indicate, whether you're part for the inventory or you're wanting to be part of the HR, or sorry, the payroll maintenance. All right, well, I'm going to end it, and everybody, you have a great afternoon.
You are now working smarter with ProFund Accounting. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.